Hey everybody, Tim here. I got to check out Path of the Righteous. Yes, that's right. It was an early build. The game is currently on Kickstarter right now. I hadn't played Pathfinder Kingmaker yet, their previous game, but I'd only heard good things, so super excited to go check it out. I'm a huge fan of CRPGs and Pathfinder 2. I mean, well, I'm becoming a bigger fan of Pathfinder as I get to play around with it more, and I have a couple of the books now, so. Plus, CRPGs are some of my favorite genres out there.
I wish somebody had told me of its cost.
So if you haven't heard of the previous game, or maybe you're unfamiliar with the genre, the basic gist is this. You control a party of 6 or so folks in a fantasy adventure. The camera is pulled way back with a top-down strategic view with lots of options, so you can set up ambushes, or you can tell your warrior to run in with their big beefy shield, and then have your barbarian like flank and attack the archers, and then you can have a wizard stand back and CC all the other pesky enemies and things like that. That type of thing, you know. After PAX East, I went and downloaded and played a handful of hours of Pathfinder Kingmaker just to kind of get a gist of what I played at PAX East. Playing Pathfinder has been a ton of fun, and it really helped me sort of see what I was playing at PAX. Wrath of the Righteous is being set up as a bigger, better, more feature-rich spiritual sequel to Kingmaker. It's a separate game running through an adventure path of the same name, meaning you can buy the paperback book for Pathfinder First Edition. You need to defeat the demons to establish a foothold in this accursed land, and then after some time, you eventually become the leader of the crusade to take this land back. This is similar to Kingmaker's Kingdom mode. Instead, in this case, you're running the crusades, killing the demons. Also, one of the biggest things in Wrath of the Righteous is embarking down one of 8 currently mythic paths to accomplish your goal. Will you give in to undead and become an all-powerful lich, or will you aim to rid the land of evil as a superpowered fighter through the path of the Azata? It's basically just take your main class, like warrior, wizard, and then tack on top of that, oh, you're a lich now, or you're a Azata now, or you're a swarm lover now. Things like that. There's 8 of them. You can check them out. They're really cool. The section I actually got to play, though, was an assault on a keep in the land that was aforementioned conquered by demons, so that you could get that foothold. It turns out that before the section that I played, they had to go through some interesting party choices. Basically, there's some rude dudes who have survived and actually have been getting a lot of stuff done in this area, but since you're fighting demons, they've kind of become, I guess, more ruthless, more harder. And the early choice that Alexander Michelin from Owlcat set up was basically they kill their wounded. Not even just burn their dead. They kill their wounded because they don't have time to bring them with them. And the demons have been using their dead to attack them. So they're like, hey, we're going to kill these people. And since they're kind of like fanatics, I guess they would say too, they would just kill their wounded. And they're probably... They didn't say specifically, but it sounded like maybe they implied you should kill your wounded too. So I'm sure that was a decision before the point that I got to play. I don't know what they chose, but it basically led into this council mission thing where you're talking to all of your allies. Everyone hates these people, but they get the job done, whereas the good guys are super stressed out. They're not even sure they could win. You have to balance back and forth between righteous paladins that know they're going to win because God is on their side versus more or less normal soldiers who are like, why are we doing this? These demons are going to kill us. They're demons. One of my favorite things about fantasy BS is different heroes and scoundrels working together and how things stop being black and white very quickly, especially when you're fighting demons, right? It's pretty shorthand that they're bad. I had to decide which tactic I was gonna choose for the assault, or more specifically which assault I would join, since they're all happening at once, which is pretty cool. Basically, hey man, I'm part of this guild. I found out that you can go through the sewers, and then we can come up from behind and attack these people here. Or there's the other group that were the quote-unquote good guys, and they're like, oh, we will lead the front head assault on the keep. You should come with us. But then there's those previously mentioned rude dudes. They're like, all right, we're gonna go around the side entrance, bash that door down, and then go take down the ogres ogering the catapults. you should come with us. From what it sounded like, the gameplay perspective of each of these would have been a little bit different. You know, maybe stealthing your way through the sewers and then coming out from some other spot and then opening a gate here and there, stuff like that. I'm not sure because I only played one path. I chose to go with the rude dudes because everyone hated them, and that seemed an interesting thing to check out in this demo. And between me and you, I always play the good guys, so, you know, getting to roll deep with the baddies, that felt good. You know, when you play a demo, you can do whatever you want. Even as someone who hadn't at the time played Pathfinder Kingmaker, the combat was fun and painless. You know, playing these beefy games in a demo setting is really weird because you don't want to take too long, right? You don't want to read every single book, every single spell text, and go down every single dialogue tree because, you know, you don't want to take up too much of their time. You want to get a taste of the early game as much as possible and then enjoy it for yourself once it comes out. And between you and me, I'm notorious at like resource hoarding, so I would have read every single spell and every single item and then not used any of them. Instead, I just ran through with my crew of rude dudes and cast my spells. I didn't know how spells worked in Pathfinder. Turns out they work pretty similarly to 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, since Pathfinder's based on 3.5, yada yada yada. A lot of you know that, but like, I didn't know how many times I could cast these spells that I was casting on my various characters, and then I asked the Alexander, he's like, oh yeah, you get to do these a number of times per day, and you can kind of set up all those spells before you go in. I was like, oh, okay. Normally, I would not have cast those spells, but I'm very glad that I did. My first goal was to protect the rude dudes as they busted down the side gate as a couple waves of enemies attacked me. Again, the combat wasn't too hard. I had heard that Kingmaker was pretty tough, but for the crew that I had in this demo setting, it wasn't so bad. It was really fun to pause the action and decide what each and every other person would do, and occasionally use level 1 spells on enemies that didn't need it and they died too fast, and I didn't have the spell later. But, you know, by the end of the demo, I was actually at a really good spot with spells. After we busted down the gate, we kind of snuck our way through the side zone, not really stealthing, but, you know, just not in the front lines, fighting various other forms of demons and gargoyle creatures, cultists, things like that, as we made our way from a side keep through jail cells, I guess you'd say, that were bashed down. So we got to the walls where the ogres were and the archers that were hurting that main path that I could have chosen. I'm unsure if I would have chosen the frontal assault, if those ogres would have been murdered and the catapults be gone. I'm not positive how that all works, but it felt really cool that I felt like I was helping my allies by going through the side entrance and stopping all of these catapults and stuff, so that I could actually see my allies run underneath the gate beneath me. And then I was able to do like a skill challenge, a little skill check to climb down, and that was cool. It showed me a little bit of combat, a little bit of walking through, a little bit of dialogue here and there, and then a little bit of that juicy skill checks that CRPGs love nowadays. At the end of the demo, I had to fight the big bad demon, and it sort of cut off early by a man running in and either blowing himself up or blowing up magic, I was unsure, and Alexander was like, oh yes, this is a guy we made friends with earlier, and when you play the game, you will know him from earlier in the game, and this is a choice you made. So apparently, in the demo scenario, we made friends with Exploding Man, and he helped us out, and that was fun. It was like a great way to show, here's something that happened to you that maybe wouldn't happen to somebody else. The other big thing for Wrath of the Righteous is the mythic paths. I didn't get a chance to see any of them in action, but I did get to see some of the early spell effects for them. The one that I got to see was basically what I believe was the Lich summoning dozens of ghosts to swarm all around the enemy, and compare it to the spells that I've seen so far in Pathfinder Kingmaker, it looks a lot better, a lot more beautiful spell effects and things like that. Again, the whole thing with Wrath of the Righteous is it is taking another Pathfinder campaign and making it beefier in the video game zone, if that makes sense. They're also tying the paths into player choice, and more important, being able to choose to be evil, something new in Wrath of the Righteous. I think making the Lich sort of front and center in their Kickstarter video, it was a really fun decision, because it's like, hey, yeah, you might be able to reclaim this land, but at what cost? That is good to me. I love the, I will sacrifice myself. Maybe I will touch of the forbidden, what's an evil thing? Ring? Cup? I will touch the cup and I will be bad now. And all in order to save people. I think that's compelling and I love it. Let's go over some quick facts, since if you're anything like me, you want to know things like races and classes that you'll be able to get in Wrath of the Righteous. Let's go! There'll be 11 races, 2 of which are new. The 11 are in Kingmaker. There'll be 24 classes, each with 6 archetypes. Whoa! Fans of the Pathfinder tabletop game will be super excited to know that Arcanist, Blood Rager, Shaman, Oracle, Witch, War Priest, Cavalier, and Skald are all being added. Wrath of the Righteous will have 11 potential companions, including multiple romance options. And the most important addition of all, an immersive and improved 360-degree rotating camera, baby. Woo! That was one thing I noticed playing Kingmaker, is like, I can't rotate the camera, so Wrath of the Righteous will have that. I'm already a huge fan of CRPGs, and Wrath of the Righteous is scratching all the itches I love for the genre, including the itch that Alexander told me that there's tons of hidden secrets in this level that I missed. Specifically, there is this thing where if you killed 3 dretches, you got 3 keys, and then you would take those keys, and you could either bypass an encounter, or it'd lead to another encounter, or I could hunt down mini-bosses, all of which would maybe have different effects on the game going forward. And I just kind of looked at them like, alright, so I chose the side path where I went with the Rude Boys, but it sounds like I could have done side path with the Rude Boys, double back, go backwards through the sewer to kill some people and get some loot, then come back, run around the front area getting all sorts of items, and then coming through and just spending, I don't know, 4 hours on a level that should have taken like 45 minutes. But I have a problem, and I know that a lot of you out there do too, so it is really rad that they're hiding in different secrets and different player choice in the game, even if, you know, you don't choose to take advantage of any of it. I'm really glad there's little fun stuff to dig around. Thanks again to Owlcat Games for letting me play. It was a ton of fun. Alright, I gotta go back to playing more Pathfinder Kingmaker. Bye!
Make sure to subscribe to stay up to date, or head over to geeklyinc.com to see all the content we do. Follow Tim on Twitter @TimLanning, or follow me on Twitter @MrK_Bennett.